George Clooney on his holiday plans and his new movie. Yeah, he certainly needs no introduction. However, we will let you know that his new film that he directs and stars in is called The Midnight Sky. Our Brian Truitt chats with George Clooney.
So how are you and the family holding up?
Good, man. Where are you?
I'm in Virginia, North Virginia, near D.C.
Yeah, is it cold there?
Yeah, it's 30. It's around 30.
It's like 60 here. So
That's not, it's getting cold for there.
That's cold for here. And look, look at this thing. Look at this.
Oh, wow.
That's a puppy.
Wow.
Saying that's Rosie, my Saint Bernard puppy. That's what you do in lockdown, I guess. So,
yeah, we have two little Boston Terriers that are nowhere near that size.
She's like she launches, she clobbers me with her. She comes running at me like like a puppy would, and you just go no. She hits you like a freight train.
What is she, about 100 pounds?
Oh, she's more than that.
Oh, good Lord.
Her mom was like 200. I mean, her mom was huge.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm in for a... It's bad when your dog outweighs you, That's when you're like, you got to move quick. So is Virginia okay? Are you guys, are you sort of at home, locked up and all that?
Yeah, actually, they locked us down more because now we can't, like in the last day, it's now like, you can't have any more than 10 people. We had hybrid learning. So my daughter's 8, and we've been doing the remote learning because we chose that. But now even the hybrid kids are like, nope, everybody goes home now. So
Jesus, that's brutal. I mean, I'm lucky my kids are 3, and so I don't have to. School is the one thing that I don't have to worry. I don't want to relearn trigonometry at 59 years old.
Right.
But it's for us. It's more. We've been in lockdown too, and been here for 9 months. But the one thing that for us, I just miss my parents. I want to see my mom and dad. They're in Kentucky, not far from you, and I just miss seeing the all those Amal's family and stuff like that. So ready to get to the light at the end of this tunnel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get there soon.
Yeah, I have good hope for a few of these vaccines really sort of catching on, and I mean the reality is probably for someone like me, it's probably going to be April or May, right? I mean, because you're going to have to go through, healthcare workers and then essential workers who should be getting it first, and then certainly got to get to the people in retirement homes. So there's a lot of high risk, and doesn't seem like we have a great huge supply of it. So it's going to be a bit, but look, we've gotten this far. We can go a little further,
Right. Well, I think, and two, the Midnight Sky, I think your movie, it takes where we are, to a much worse place. But I think, we're all kind of going through what everybody's going through. And, how much does this story, a movie very much about making connections, hit you different in a year where we can't connect with loved ones, and most of our interactions, we can't even see the other person's face because they're wearing a mask.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're right. Even when you can communicate, there's somebody wearing a mask. It did. When we finished, we wrapped in February, and so got to the editing room, and immediately everything shut down. I had to go home and cut from the house. And then it became really clear that as we were doing it, that when we first started was about all the things we're capable of doing to mankind, the things we're capable of doing to one another, including sort of destroying the earth one way or another, whether it's a nuclear holocaust or we blow a hole in the atmosphere or whatever it is. The idea suddenly became, well, it's actually the effects of the inability to be with the people you love and to be able to be near them or even communicate with people at all. And the isolation of that. I think this is going to have a long-lasting effect, on us, on our psyche. There's so many people that have lost jobs and lost work who had no reason to, except that this was, that this has happened. And then there's so many people who lost loved ones and all of that as well. And on top of it, everyone, whether you've lost loved ones or whether you have a job, you continue to have a job, you're still having this great deal of loss, this inability to to be around one another. And I think that's going to have a big effect on us over a long period of time. And it wasn't something you could, certainly not something you thought of when you're making the film, and not something you're happy about when it comes out. Those kind of coincidences aren't good, you know?
Well, and many space movies are inherently about being isolated in a place where characters are far away from loved ones, and they're able to still communicate sometimes, but there usually is an inherent loneliness. And I think, those kinds of movies probably do speak a lot to us right now, not just yours, but like, Alien even, everybody can feel that, like the isolation of like being so close, but yet not, but yet so far.
Yeah, I think I didn't think of that, but yeah, I think you're right. I think that's absolutely true. It's funny. We didn't think of it when we were doing it as a space movie in a weird way, because we felt like it was because the stories themselves felt small. They're pretty easy. For my guy, it's literally, and sort of one of the main through lines of this is it's just seeking redemption. It's literally that thing of regret and how you live with it. And that's the part that I keep going back to and thinking about, which is dealing with and living with. I have people I know who are older than me who live with a great deal, huge, big regrets in their life. And it doesn't get better when you get older. It festers like a cancer in you, and it makes you bitter and angry and pissed off at time itself and all those things. And the desperate need for redemption in some way is so, like, it's molecular to us. That was something that once we started working on it, I kept going back to in terms of through lines, Do
you feel that yourself, or do you feel like you haven't really, like, that you haven't had a bunch of that, the regret, kind of pile on? Have you been able to kind of slough it off a little bit?
No, listen, everybody's got regrets, right? Everybody has things that they look at and go, I could have handled that better, or I wish I'd done that. But a lot of people have the big regrets. I should have tried this when I was young. I should have worked harder on that marriage, or I should have been better to my kids, or I should have taken risks that I was scared to take because I was afraid of, something. All those things. And I don't have those. I don't have the major ones. You don't have the ones that eat you alive. I have plenty of, like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that, or I should have probably done this, or, I think back at things just, when I was a kid, I wish I'd been nicer to my sister, when we were kids. And I feel guilty about that, but not the ones that last.
How much does being a father yourself help in portraying and connecting with characters like Augustine, who's at the end of his life, but, takes extreme risks to keep this little person safe?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. On ER, I was a pediatrician, so I worked with kids a lot. And there's a real advantage, trust me, when you're an actor and working with the kid. They'll always say, don't work with kids and dogs. But the truth is, your character can survive a lot of really unscrupulous kind of flaws as long as you love kids, as long as you're taking care of a kid. On ER, I was a drunk and I was a womanizer. But at the end, I'd be like, don't touch that kid. You leave that kid alone. And everybody's like, oh, he loves kids. He's a good guy. So as an actor, it's actually helpful because it frees you up from having to do the things to tell the audience that there's a reason to root for this guy. You don't have to, you can be grumpy, you can be angry, you can, but if at the end you're like, all right, come here, get over here, sit down, it's like, it's Uncle Bill in Family Affair, it's that guy that, what was his name? Keith, Brian Keith, get over here, shut up, but you loved him, because he was this grumpy old guy. So there's some advantages to working with kids. I will say this, as you get older and, look, I started very late. I'm like Tony Randall of parents, but as you have these children, and my experience is the same as everyone else, yours, everyone else who's already had them before, which is that you do become much more conscious of how little and how much less important your needs and your, even all the way to your life, are compared to the people that you care and love about the most. And that really brings it into your feeling of responsibility towards what they're going to face. You know, we see mortality rates now for the first time in a long time are flattening out, and not, you know, we're not living older, and we're, you know, for the first time we won't see a generation that's done better than the generation before. You know, that kind of thing. Those are things that concern you and worry you.
Now, the thing that changed in me when I became a dad was like I became this huge softy. Like now I can't even get through a movie with a father and daughter. If they have a moment or something, I'm like, you know, waterfalls. Like The Prom just makes me cry every time.
Did you have? Let me ask you. So you have one kid?
One kid, yeah.
Yeah. See, so I got the surprise with the twins, and you know, first of all, they are completely different human beings, which tells you that whatever our parenting skills are, basically our job is to sort of point them with a North Star and keep them alive until they, you know, begin to hate you later. Mm-hmm. But it is such a fascinating process of of watching these kids and trying to play out, you know, what their future is going to be, and hoping that they care about the things that you care about, and hoping you can instill in them. And I think you probably have the same feeling, hoping you're instilling into them the things that I admire the most about my wife, you know, those kind of things. You know, it's really fascinating process.
Well, my daughter hates Star Wars, and I think my heart will always be broken because of that. But for you, what has inherently changed the most about yourself being a father? Well, you know, just maybe some small thing, maybe a big thing, but what one thing has changed the most?
Well, it's always very humbling. You know, I was broke for, you know, a good third of my life, and, you know, I could do anything, right? I can change the fan belt on your car. I can fix anything. I did construction work for a long time. I could jerry rig anything to make it work. I'm scrappy as I always have been, you know, found a way to do it. And then suddenly, you know, you have these kids and you realize you're so ill-equipped for so many of the things. But, you know, then I spent this whole period of time where I got successful, and, you know, somebody else does the laundry and somebody else could, you know, and now you have kids, and for a number of reasons. One is because there's nobody around, you know, we're changing diapers and washing dishes and mopping floors and staining all the furniture, and you're doing all that stuff that, you know, you kind of thought you might not be doing. But also it's, you know, again, it's like, you know, you get into that mode of like, I just cleaned that and now you made a mess out of it. You know, it's just constant, like, you know, I just washed that, you know, and then they crap all over it, you know. So I become, you know, I made a joke about it before. I said I'm like my mother in 1964, and now I know why she burned her bra. But there is some truth in all of that. I think mostly the biggest changes though are that it brings you back and reminds you that how responsible we are for each other. Because I constantly look at them and think, you know, they're in the world that they've been born into in our lives. Part of it is going to be much easier than most people, right? Because we're not worried about putting food on the table. You know, we don't have the issues that my parents had, you know, at all. But there are the other trappings that come with that, which are, you got to make sure that they have empathy, and that they have, and that they're sort of their Polaris or their North Star is somehow the same that was mine growing up. My father, for the time I was 5, was like, challenge people in power and stick up for people with less power, period. That's, if you do that, you've succeeded in life. And, you know, that's important to keep, you know, beating into the kids, you know, not beating it into them, but, you know.
Felicity told me, right. Felicity told me that when she'd go into the makeup trailer on set, she'd see the remnants of your beard stuck to a piece of sticky tape. In filming your scenes, did you have a stunt beard or some like beard augmentation?
No. So I shot all my stuff first, right? Okay. I shot my side first. And the day I finished, because believe me, my kids wanted, I shaved it all off in one. I kept it in one piece in case I had to come back for a reshoot. So I put it all on some sticky paper and put it in the makeup thing. It's this massive. Looks like I don't know. It was something Jack Elam dug out of his navel. You know what I mean? It's scary.
Back in the mid to late 90s, when you were really breaking into, ER and Hollywood and everything, did you have in your mind to tell your own big stories and direct epic films? Or were you not there yet?
No, I knew once ER hit, because I was banging around for a long time. Mm-hmm. I was working a lot, so it wasn't like I was, I didn't have to take another job, which when you're an actor, that's a big success, But I wasn't getting the kind of jobs that were going to give me any kind of security in terms of work. So I was writing, and I never went to the trailer. When we finished a take, I'd sit on the set. I like sets. And, I'm from Kentucky. We try to stay out of trailers. It's not something we brag about. I got a double wide. So I spent time on the sets and watched directors and watched producers. And, when you're on a sitcom, you're working as a writer as well when you're an actor because you're constantly improvising scenes. So I knew that what I didn't want was to be, I used to say 60, which I'll be 60 this year, to be 60 and worry about what some casting director thinks about you as an actor, right? I mean, that's the reality. I wanted to have other avenues. I love the industry that I'm in, and I wanted to work in it one way or another. And I thought this would be this would be the way to focus, and I had to start fairly early. So that's what I was doing. I didn't think, until I saw until I read Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, and I thought I have a take on that because I grew up around that kind of live television. But up until then, I hadn't found the thing that was right. I knew what I needed was a really good script, because whatever flaws you have as a director, a good script can protect you sometimes, Mm-hmm. And so whatever mistakes I was making, I might be saved by a good script. And so, and the fun part about like the directing part of it is, you're just I'm trying to, keep moving the needle, try different things. And, some of them are successful, some of them aren't. But that's sort of not that's not the point in a way. It's, I feel responsibility to the people who give me the money. So I try to make it as best I can and keep it on budget, do all those things. But I have a real interest in, different sort of genres and telling different stories and seeing which ones sort of click. This was much bigger than anything I thought I was ever going to do.
It's been a very politically weird year, in addition to every other kind of, just in every way weird. Do you think America's now rocketing in the right direction, or might we still have to deal with some pesky meteor showers coming up?
Oh, yeah. Well, we got some meteor showers coming, I think. We're playing in some dangerous water when you're fomenting violence. There's a lot of really good, straightforward public servants who's, right now it's rhetoric, but it's getting worse, and there's a chance that it could get dangerous. And I think at that point, there's a real responsibility for the people who are fomenting the violence now are going to be held responsible if anybody gets hurt. Because we're stepping into a really dumb place. We've been going this way, much like Adams and Jefferson, in a way that was journalism, that was newspapers. And you kind of went to the newspaper that best represented your political views. And we do that now with the internet and with television in a way, news and how we consume news. So we're not starting from the same fact base. And if we're not starting from the same fact base, we start so far apart that, we can't get there. And so I'm hoping, I feel like we're in so much better shape because I do think this, moments meet the man or woman. And this moment is Joe Biden's moment. He is a compassionate, kind man. And we're going to need that after we've lost probably, it'll be close to 400,000 people by the time we get this in our rear view mirror, and jobs and careers and how many other people were sick. And we're going to need compassion through this. And he is every bit of that, on top of being a very smart, wise man. But I think that this is going to be, I think it's going to be a really effective presidency because of that. You know, he's going to have a hard time in the Senate, but you know.
Do you have big Christmas plans, or what are you going to Zoom with family and stuff?
Well, I'm going to London because we doing an actual drive-in premiere. So I got a little bit of work left to do. So then we'll stay there. We have a place there, and we'll stay there for the holidays, just the four of us, which will be an adventure too. I'm not bringing the dog. She's going to training because, you know, you can't have a 200-pound, you know, horse in your house that thinks it's a lap dog. So it's just going to be the four of us at the house there, and you know, we'll go out and decorate a tree outside, you know, and we'll do all the things we do, and I'm excited by it all. You know, I've gotten back to my roots as a chef. You know, I'm because believe me, my wife, she can do anything. I mean, she gets journalists out of jail that have you would never think you'd get a journalist out of jail in Myanmar or in Egypt or Azerbaijan or, they're unbelievably hard, difficult. She does amazing things, but don't let her near the kitchen. It's a devastating thing. So I do the, you know, I do the bulk of the cooking.
What are Ella and Alexander asking Santa for this year?
Ella wants a bus, a toy bus, and Alexander wants a toy airplane with Santa in it. And so I've called Santa. It's funny, I had a conversation with Santa outside their door the other day because they were kind of acting up. Mm-hmm. And so I talked to Santa and said, you know, Santa asked me if they were being good girls or boys. And I said, well, I think they are, Santa, you know, I'm pretty sure. And they stopped talking in the bedroom, got really quiet. And Santa left, and I opened the door, and they were like, that was Santa? And I go, yeah. And they said, you know, but we're being good. I go, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, I want to say that to them, but you got to prove it. And they also want chocolate-covered coins, which they've discovered. That was a big mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's just like everywhere. That was a big mistake. And the joy on his face, my son's face, when he first ate the first one, which, you know, because he just thought it was a coin. Mm-hmm. And I said, actually, if you do that and you open it up, and he opened it up and he just went, oh, and there was literally chocolate everywhere. It was crazy.
One last thing. I remember when Kenzie, my daughter, was 3, she loved the Paw Patrol, and it got into my mind. Like, I would just hum the Paw Patrol song or sing it around the house just to myself. Has anything like that happened to you? Have you?
Peppa Pig. Constantly, I walk around, Peppa Pig, and it actually makes me crazy. There's one that has kind of a 70s vibe, and it's good. And now, thank God, they're getting into a little bit of Sesame Street, which is, you know, because the song's good. Can you tell me how to get? And we sang it when we were kids, you know, so it's, you know, that one's a relief. And I can relate to some of the characters, you know, it's not these little British, you know, Peppa Pigs where it's like, you know, I said to the kids yesterday, I go, okay, so when Santa comes, we're going to leave right underneath the fireplace cookies and milk. And Alexander goes, no, cookies and mince pie. And I was like, I'm taking away all their little British cartoons right now. It's not a jumper, it's a sweater. And we do, Amal and I'll do that. I'll go, okay, is it tomato or tomato? And you try to convince them that it's, you know, it does actually sound good with an English accent, I guess, but I'm trying.
Fantastic. So thank you so much. Thank you for the great conversation.
Yeah, thanks, man. Be safe. We're almost through this thing, man.
You too.
Almost there. Hang in there.
Happy holidays, sir.
You too. Thanks.
See you and your family. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these other videos from USA Today Entertainment to stay up to date on all of the latest celebrity news.